so, because both teams like it quite a lot and play a lot of that map. It was PARIVISION that decided to remove that. So no huge swings. I think for either team, there's not really massive excuses here. They should be competitive on all three maps. Probably Mirage is the one we'd lean the most towards one of these two teams. But no huge shockers. And again, no excuses if you find yourself in the lower bracket. You had your chances with these maps.
Yeah, and speaking of on the grind set that NAVI Junior have been, I was just looking at it, 38 maps on that Ancient. They won't be playing it, but 38 maps on any one map is an insane statistic for the last 3 months. That is like above peak Monty numbers when they were playing everything.
Oh, I think
the sun.
not. They got up to the 60s. Zero Tenacity, I think they had 80 or something. At one point, it was absurd.
Really wild. xTRAVIS going to be taking first contact here. There's a triple setup here in towards B as Symmetry comes swinging on through, but it'll be Makaze instead. That other name who's been drawing a lot of attention, who will be dropping a couple players through that smoke. So well repulsed. NAVI Junior seemed to know exactly what was coming their way when the door smoke came through. And PARIVISION are left to figure out how the hell they're going to recover this round.
Yeah, I mean, of course, even a plant would be pretty valuable, but where are you going to find it? What have we got? One flashbang on Kickert. NAVI Junior playing very disciplined. How many times do we see teams get overzealous in this position? They are not. One-on-one here is found, but no connection for James. I don't know what you do, man. I think you just have to group up as 3 players. Come off catwalk, he might be able to get a plant. And that is probably best case scenario. A little bit easier now. And they know they've killed a player rotating, so they might even think B's lesser defended, but that would be wrong. There's still 2 there.
They're going to split B, but they're running out of time. They've only got 20 seconds to execute it, and not wanting to go through this mid presence, right? Not having the smoke. Well, okay. You just found xTRAVIS. You got this kill, but if this player with the bomb drops, James doesn't think there's a player in sight. James does not know there's a player in sight. He's going to go for the stick, and that's the round, ladies and gentlemen. Kicker quickly follows, and it is NAVI Junior to strike first. It felt inevitable after the initial repulsion of the tunnel's play. They do follow it through.
Let's talk a little bit about this kind of PARIVISION lineup, of course.
Let's do it.
The last, whatever it's been now, probably since CS2, actually, they've been through quite a kind of spree of players. They did the Jerry period, then they had Alpha briefly. Of course, James comes in now alongside Travis and Nota. Daz2 as the coach. I think he joined a tiny bit earlier, but obviously it's a similar crop of players. So they've certainly got a lot of experience. Got some really great individual players. Travis is probably, because he's never played for a top team, gone under the radar for how good he was as an individual player. And Beltronic certainly, mechanically, is someone who's been on our radar for a while. So there's certainly quite a few good pieces here. But as always, making it work on the server is a very different prospect. It's not a given that, you know, good pieces are going to produce a great team.
I love this. Just an aggressive anti-eco. Get out in numbers, in middle, unified vision. Don't allow them to really do anything to entertain any thoughts. Obviously, we weren't expecting much from the round. PARIVISION came in with clocks, but still nice to see that dynamic play coming through from NAVI Junior. No reason to waste too much utility in that round. So, well set up here. No casualties in the last means they've got money galore for this one. Basically a full bonus as they'll keep the MP9s. Meanwhile, AK's on the other side. The most interesting thing, of course, for this PARIVISION team is that James isn't calling. It still seems mind-bending, almost. A guy that we were observing is one of the great chess masters of Counter-Strike for so long. Unless something has changed, which I don't believe it has been publicly talked about at all, Kickert is still holding on to the reins here as the primary IGL. Or we'll see how I know him, Dingo.
Yeah, we'll see how that develops. Of course, teams of this region are kind of notorious for not being the most forward of information or necessarily doing the most interviews. But yeah, if it stays that way, real new look for Jane, and he'll have to put up good numbers again if he's handed over the reins. Aggression in mid from NAVI Junior. They have much lesser weaponry. I'm not surprised they're trying to make moves, but the AKs are having a pretty easy time of this. Better weaponry just wins out there.
At least they make it expensive. For a moment, it was looking like it was going to be a complete sweep off the site, but finding 3 kills there in the last moment for Makaze and Symmetry was at least something out of the bonus round. But you're right. I mean, as soon as the aggressive movement towards middle is a nice idea, but James just so prepared for it. He's prepared for that exact maneuver. And then at that point, they just lose the A defenders. Maybe this is going to be a weakness. It's something to keep an eye on.
I mean, I was a bit surprised
certainly
by that round because at the start, it looked like Makaze was going to push into lowers. And they came in with it. I think they had 2 MP9s and a FAMAS. I was quite sure they would get aggressive because Dust2 long-range duels, not having an AWP is bad enough, but not having many M4s on the server really amps it up. I was surprised they didn't fight more for mid before, PARIVISION had all that space. The time to fight it was before they got all their players up catwalk. There, you're just fighting a losing battle and really relying on an individual outplay that clearly didn't transpire.
Seems like we're just going to have a moment to get something sorted out here. Hopefully a brief one. But look, we don't have that many rounds still, so we could talk about the broader picture of things. It has been impressive what xTRAVIS been able to do. These are very young talents. This is for, I think, all of them, if not most of them, their first stop. They're really being molded and shaped within this junior roster. And considering the way that we've seen the youth movement take over so many teams in Counter-Strike, okay, we're back quick into it. It is very impressive. He's the veteran on the squad, xTRAVIS, with 20 years of age. Everybody else is a teenager. That's a nice entry.
That was brutal. Yeah, T-side likes that as well on a map like Dust2. Spread the defense. Remember, guys, because of the mid doors, the CTs don't have an easy time crossing mid or late round. They need to essentially pitch their tent right now and decide their setup or save smokes for mid. Either way, it's not a great position to be in. And as we can see, NAVI Junior have committed to playing 2 on either side. At least Demon's getting some information into B tunnels, but they lose too much more space here into mid. They'll have to make even more hard choices. And look at this, Makaze peels off B. They're risking it 3 on A, and they don't really have any info for this. So it is definitely a risk.
Holding that palm flash for Makaze's contact. It does seem like it's headed this way. It's xTRAVIS and Pit who's going to be the problem. He is wiped off. Now Makaze's not here, so you can't just play off that flashbang. Taking the fight, holding a static angle. That's ill-advised.
Wow.
And Symmetry quickly falling as well. This was not the most glorious A-hold, I'd say, Alan.
No, and the stack site. They had 3 players. Of course, we didn't quite see what happened on long, but clearly the remaining 2 A players were not ready, were they, to defend against a long take. That kind of crumbled. Of course, a lot of CS left to be played, but that is a little bit concerning. They'll certainly watch that round back and think, we need to be winning rounds or we're stacking aside this. We can't just be bulldozed.
It's also just that no player was in position to support another player.
No,
right?
No.
I mean, you had the idea with the lamp flash, right? And the contact that was supposed to be coming through from the player playing CT elevator. But then as soon as there's contact out for long, that player just swings. And then there's no ability for them to coordinate.
Hopefully it improves. Something that really does happen on Dust2 is that you get so used to playing gun rounds of AWPs that you just get so used to having an AWP around car or around kind of long that when you're forced to rifle, the setups fall apart. Certainly when I've coached in the past, this has been a pretty perennial problem, and you do need to get used to playing lesser weaponry on A, and it's actually really hard. You have to definitely change your philosophy. You can't just sit back.
Lesser weaponry. Deagle's going to get one. Oh, hold on. That's a second gun retrievable. Even if they can't win this round, those are 2 rifles now in the hands of NAVI Jr. Their health is not great, but the appetite for 2 AKs must be fierce. So if they can scrape these guns out of this round, and you can see xTRAVIS is getting out of there, Juke should soon follow. This is a success, considering they brought in USPs. That's actually quite concerning for PARIVISION that they fought so hard against the USPs.
think this is the first time I've watched this PARIVISION roster, so I am intrigued. Certainly, if we look at this sort of matchup on paper and just the names, our expectation probably should be that PARIVISION's going to play the cleaner Counter-Strike. They've just got so much experience across kind of 3 of the players here and the coach. Will that bear out on the server? It's certainly not a given. And obviously losing a lot of players to pistols isn't necessarily the best omen in that regard. But to win this matchup... I mean, certainly to win this matchup, I think PARIVISION do need to play cleaner Counter-Strike. It's absolutely the case that NAVI Junior might have the more skilled players right now.
Brian, you'd imagine. I'd imagine Dust2's got the ruler out to wrap some knuckles after giving up those AKs. Part of the team most famous, of course, for keeping track of the checkbook. Back in the land of Go. But these are different times, Alan.
Telling them. We learn it more than anybody else did, Virtus Pro. Okay, so mid seized, but look at the minimap, guys. All 5 of PARIVISION are within 4 square meters, so it's going to be really hard to pivot. Fortunately for them, Krabeni has dropped through the smoke, and he was also very fortunately, nobody on the extremities has pushed for NAVI Junior. That would have caused real problems.
It would have. This full concentrated nucleus. I mean, the damage has been done here on the jam and kicker, but it was... Krabeni was boosted up on the box to see over the cat smoke, which leaves them quite exposed to the lower fight if they're expecting it or if they catch wind of it. So I guess unable to finish a spray there. There's a pop-up over the Xbox. Now they know there's a fight here. And so Belchinok's going to come in. They're going to flashbang for it. No, just brawl. Just fight. Demon came off, but they left Symmetry there. This is a nice clear from Belchinok. Huge praise to his way. But again, it feels like NAVI Junior are not playing on the same page. I like the idea of going for the doubled up aggression, but then one player clearly loses faith, comes off of it, and the other guy just stays, Alan. And that's, to me, is what's concerning. If you have 2 rifles to fight there, it's not going to be a favorable fight for you, but it's doable. If you just have one, best case scenario, you get a trade.
A fun game you can play in a position of NAVI. Well, not fun for them. Fun for us. Fun for us. Watching a team like NAVI Junior is just before things start going wrong, you pause and you say, what's the plan? What's the philosophy? In an ideal world, how does this round play out? And I think, obviously, the moment you've highlighted wasn't fantastic, but rewind it 15, 20 seconds, the player on the box getting killed. It's like, okay, is the call here to fight for catwalk or fight in towards mid? Shouldn't somebody else be helping him? Shouldn't somebody be close mid doors? Shouldn't be, have some util going or whatever? It's hard to join the dots. Really good Counter-Strike. It's very plain to see how the players, play off the back of each other or how this setup's meant to work. And we've been baffled by a few of these NAVI rounds thus far.
Timeout taken there. I imagine that might be Coolio wanting to discuss some of the things that we're noticing as well, in terms of keeping everybody on the same page. I mean, Dust2 is certainly a map where you can get into those chaos points, but nothing is too surprising that PARIVISION are showing us. PARIVISION are playing well, but it's tough to reinvent the wheel on Dust2.
True, but they're also in a position where last round they've taken mid and got entries essentially for free. Round before, Kicker gets out long as they're splitting A and just has a field day. So I'm not sure they've been put in a position where they had to make many hard choices on these gun rounds just yet. Okay, what have we got then? Half by. There's a rifle here in towards these long doors. Belchinok. And have some men to fight with. Fortunately, has some cavalry in behind, and that cavalry goes to town. Wow. No chance for NAVI.
Can't say that I expected one USP swinging to tip the scales here. I don't really know how else you maximize that, but I am a little surprised by the attempt. Most important thing is, of course, saving for Krabeni. Not really sure what the idea is on the clear. They're hoping to catch one rifle top mid and then be able to get an extra gun on for Demon, presumably.
I think they just wanted to. If we're talking earlier in the round, they just wanted to cause chaos here. I guess seek out exit kills.
We have gone past the point where exit kills are going to influence this a whole ton.
Yeah, it's a shame as well because they did actually a lot of damage earlier on in this map on the eco rounds and kept the money so honest for PARIVISION. That is not the case anymore. They are loaded. Of course, we'll see what the pause was all about going into the next gun round. No doubt that's what Coolio discussed over the airways. Coolio, by the way, is someone who I've heard very good things about from behind the scenes, particularly from his own scene. Certainly with this sort of crop of players, he might be secretly the piece that is making some of these young guns thrive more than we would have expected earlier in the year.
As secretly as the coach can do. Ops out for Cemetery. It's a name that people have gotten a little excited for. There have been some, as the main NAVI squad's fortunes have slacked off, who have wondered if they might call upon him, if they might take a prolonged look, if they're not getting the impact that they were hoping for out of the offing position. I think it's still pretty early days, but as we have seen, there is many a young player with the raw material to change the fortunes of rosters these days, it seems.
And even if it's not NAVI proper, there is no harm to putting yourself in the limelight.
Sure.
Plenty of teams need AWPers. I'm not sure if he speaks good English, but that would be a huge string to his bow. And yeah, there's no doubt there's definitely at least a couple players in these academy teams that are going to make waves in the next year and a half. What have we got then in this round? Some mid-nadage, but that is a ruse, Mike. I think they're going up catwalk real soon, and they need to go soon. There's only 40 seconds to go.
They've had a lot of success with this catwalk explode. Again, Krabeni, only 8 bullets in the mag. That spam in towards mid leaves them exposed. He comes off the angle on the initial cat fight. Nice peek from Demon, but now you need some impact. Symmetry manages to collect. That's the huge find. Now Krabeni just hoping to play off of his AWPer's scope. A clear back out towards long means that AWP scope is unfocused, at least for the moment, and that will allow the opportunity for the bomb plant. 4-on-3 retake, though. It's a good situation for NAVI Jr. Can they bring it through? Trade onto Travis. It's getting messy. Krabeni sneaks back up the ramp, and it all falls to James. They know where he's at, and we know how James is. He's out of there. They're defusing right under his nose. He's not giving this one a look. Not at all. There's an AWP to be saved.
Probably could be playing a bit harder for exits, but that wouldn't be on brand.
Gotta be true to yourself,
as it was. I think PARIVISION were very lucky there to get a bomb plant. NAVI Jr. had 3A, and all 3 were trained on catwalk pretty soon after PARIVISION showed their intent. There was nobody long for PARIVISION to punish that kind of overemphasis on holding catwalk. So we've seen a lot of simplistic rounds from Kickert's squad. And I think that round might be one where they were punished for not having more elements, more directions of pressure. It was a bit too... Telegraph's the wrong word because it wasn't like a massive rotation, but a little bit too obvious, a little bit too basic.
You could tell as well that NAVI were expecting some sort of second element to come in. I mean, there was the check back out towards long for Cemetery where they are wondering when the other shoe is going to drop, and it turns out only 1 foot. So no extra shoe. That's a big gap in that smoke. Potentially exploitable. Demon is going to be able to collect, but only to the tune of 1. Still, the clear out in towards mid means this retake might be viable, and they do, of course, still need to cross the bomb. But they don't need to cross the player with it, apparently. Belchanok going to be able to catch Krabeni. That tick of the Molotov, I think, betrayed his position. Now Symmetry and Chooks going to the rifles to try and get this done. Noda is low. Sustained fight, not what he's hoping for, so it'll have to be the headshot knockout blow. As the smoke fades, now they'll make their move. Juice is the player with the kit. There might be another down on the site, but keep an eye on that. Symmetry out the window. Juice through the door. Now just Juice. Well, he finds the first. He's hesitating. He's found it, but he's not found the final shot. 3 HP, all that Noda needs. It is enough. And PARIVISION finds 6.
Real change of pace from PARIVISION, just as we're calling them out for being a bit slow, a bit obvious. Straight, instant mid-B split with smokes they've thrown a few times already. Massive entry in mid from Kicker. Frankly, it should have been quite an easy round, I think, after he finds the mid-B player. But pretty valiant effort from NAVI Jr. to stay in the round. Boosto comes good, kicks us off in round 10 with a man advantage for PARIVISION. NAVI Jr. might have got themselves back on the board, but they have no money in reserve. They can't afford to lose this round, or this half will go from bad to worse.
Krabeni just leaves himself exposed to that window, that door angle, rather. And Jame knew. It's a moth to the flame. But there was another one headed towards Makazi's body. Baited the trap, walked right into it. And at this point now, look at this. Jukes is out of the sight. If they just hit B, and that's exactly what they're doing, this is over. This is over. This might just need to be a save. A spray down could have saved them. 1.5 just might not be enough. With the money as it is, you said it, Alan. They are on the breaking point. NAVI Jr. cannot risk this retake.
No, sir. Even then, it will be forced by, I suspect, around these guns in the following. But if they don't save these, they're not going to have anything. Okay. So, 7 for PARIVISION in a half where they didn't win pistol. They didn't get an early reset. You know, all in all, it's been a pretty good showing for a team where we've got some questions over leadership at the moment. So they look great. They look really decisive, actually. Especially in a round like this. The speed they went in for that kind of walkout B as soon as they felt like they had an advantage. I like it. I like the style we're being presented with at the moment. Would it be fair to say Navi Jr. look a bit like kind of deer in the headlights in a lot of these rounds?
Yeah,
there's a lot of strange moments, or a kind of, is lackadaisical the right word? Where, of course, in this round, it's like players crossing mid without really thinking about it. It's a bit odd.
It feels like, so Counter-Strike's a game of imperfect information, right? That's the whole meta macro in a round is all about information control and denial. And it feels like Navi Jr., even when they hold more cards than they realize, they just don't, I don't know if it's a communication question, if it's a read question. They don't always look like they're operating with as much info as we would expect a team in their spots. Wow. That's also tough. They're taking a lot of very isolated fights, trying to get aggressive, trying to squeeze these initial duels, and that was ambitious from Demon, and he rightly gets punished for it. So Kicker has already found his team a man advantage here, and now you can see PARIVISION are content to sit in this default and see where the next poke's going to come. It'll come from Krabeni, who serves himself up on a silver platter, and these are just individual moves, getting individually punished.
It's like dominoes, isn't it? First man makes his move. He dies. Next player feels like I have to get aggressive. Of course, Makaze here does make it work somewhat, but the CT rotations are all over the shop. Another player tagged all the way down. It's starting to look a bit desperate, dare I say it, for Navi Jr. They should just stack a site, man, because
they're not trusting their reads either. I mean, this player's floating back and forth from handling mid to handling cat. Now you do have symmetry. That is the op. That is the individual star power that could potentially turn this back around. Makazi's playing a very dangerous game here on the new boxes. And symmetry is delivering. Makaze punish, but that op eventually does ring silent. And Jukes just doesn't have the health for this. He just doesn't have the health. 8 HP, 1 bullet will finish the job here. That bullet's about to come from the gun of Belt Chinook. Look, it came down to a clutch. But the end result is the same.
Yeah. It just feels like they have no answers. I've been really surprised by the lack of team aggression, because I feel like that is somewhat in NAVI Junior's wheelhouse when I've watched them before. I'm stunned, given the kind of the modern iteration we have here of Dust 2, that we haven't seen more of what we're seeing right now. Crunching tunnels, fighting mid. I would have thought that was the MO for a team like this, but it's taken it all the way to the end of the half to produce a round like that. Makaze, glass cannon AWP, lower tunnels. That was ambitious.
To say the least. Still, they do have numbers on.
Oh, there's nobody B.
That might just be a bit of a vulnerability.
Jukes needs to
Double
get
stack
over.
up. If they see that this is a stack up on Cat, okay, they should have a pretty good idea. Travis might just take the space, and indeed he does. Indeed he does. They know where all three players are. They have confirmed information. Jukes is right to come back to this, but not able to win out the duel means this is a bomb plant. This is a retake on one of the least appetizing sites in Counter-Strike. There's no reason to save here, certainly. So retake we will have, but without the kits, they better get a shake of a tail feather going here. Mollies, flashes, smokes, all to stall. Now a flashbang to get them through that door. A rundown on the car player. James doesn't know which way to look. There's a spot on the one. I think just saw a leg. It did indeed. James in the clutch. Goes to the techie, and the Tech 9 is enough. 9 rounds as we head to the break. back in for the second half of play here. PARIVISION sit on a substantial lead. Looking very comfortable on their map pick. We see some worrying signs out for NAVI Jr. It's important to remember that this is PARIVISION's pick, but early results are very encouraging here, Alan.
Yeah. And they didn't win the first pistol. Should they win this? Could be cards. I think for NAVI Jr.
Fast play. This is a bomb plant all but guaranteed. They've got long control as well, so they can pick their poison and how they want to stage this. This is very nice for NAVI. They will plant quite exposed, actually risking the early retake off of Catwalk, anticipating that PARIVISION would take a bit more time at this, and they were correct.
They
so
really could do
off.
with a smoke, but they don't have one for this retake. I don't know how you fend off a player in pit without a smoke in this position.
That'll be a challenge. They have the kit at least. You're absolutely right. That thing's going to be so very exposed. Makaze is just trying to stall. At this point, we'll get overwhelmed. But yeah, if you pull this one player off, this will be over. And we're getting onto the stick. Can't hit the shot, though. So the defuse is successful. Pulled off right under Symmetry's eyes. Oh, no. Maybe needed a bit more altitude, a bit more height. But as it is, he may find the kills, but the round evades him.
I'm a little bit stunned. Wow. Maybe NAVI Jr. should have just sent one more player long. Might have helped as well if Symmetry was actually in pit from the start rather than on the platform. But wow, that is quite a stunning retake. And that is not good news if you're a NAVI Jr. fan. This force spy, normally we talk about these sort of rounds as, you know, economic damage, keeping it competitive for later rounds in the half. That is not the case here. It is game over, realistically, if you don't win this round.
Quick demolition through the smoke here, and it is looking like a non-starter. Craveni desperately grasping at straws. They gain some purchase on the B site, but 1 HP. 1 HP will be all he has to try and defend this bomb. Plant it on down. This would be the ace. And it's not going to happen. Unbelievable as it might have been, there is just no chance. So a defuse on for PARIVISION. The bomb plant at least means NAVI Jr. can keep swinging here a bit. But it's looking like Dust2 might be a quick affair.
PARIVISION's won 11 of the last 12 rounds. That is a terrifying omen if you're anyone but PARIVISION. Okay, well, indeed, bomb plant incentivize a force buy. Is it a force buy at this point? It's just a buy. Util lacking for sure. At least they got smokes in this T side. But at what point are we just playing to, you know, feel confident again in this series? Because it's been an absolute hammering for the last 25, 30 minutes. They need to at least rekindle some confidence before they go into their map pick.
Yeah, especially for a young team, right? Even if you could mentally write this off as being, well, they want Dust2, they like Dust2, we're going towards Mirage, we're going to be a lot more comfortable there. There's still always that psychological element of, we just got absolutely cooked. Nade's a little late, they'll all be past it. xTRAVIS does not realize they're out. Now they'll know, they'll hear the thundering footsteps, but this is a lot of control for NAVI Jr. If there was another bullet in that gun. But as it is, xTRAVIS at least can collect on the one. Bombs down. Jugs is low. Do they attempt this retake? Is the nade going to finish? No. Way too shallow. They do have the kit. They're going to do this. It needs to be now, and it won't. Demon instead will drag them down to the underworld. And at least NAVI Jr. will get a chance.
Okay, well, decent stuff in isolation. PARIVISION might be regretting not just saving there, but can't entirely blame them. Certainly looked very nervy for NAVI Junior on the afterplant. So, eco round for PARIVISION. Very light eco at that. It's a flashbang on Belchonok, so he can time that nicely. He could blind up a lot of these long players, but he's got to have a lot of faith. He's got to hold it until these players are up nice, close, and personal. And that's why you play anti-flash, boys and girls.
Yeah, holy calzone. Everybody comes on through in one swift motion, and they are cleaned right off of the server. PARIVISION, though, they're breaking out the op. Ice bit of spray control available there. Someone's been practicing. Helps when you get a few teammates to spray with you, you know?
Teamwork makes the dream work.
I've heard it said.
Check out the mini-map. 4A for PARIVISION. Just Belchonok on the B half of the map. Now Nota starts moving back that way. What have we got? A boost on Catwalk, and it is indeed James elevated. Finds him an entry.
Yeah, this is now a very nice start, right? But I suspect for PARIVISION, with that initial look, if it was a faster P play, he likely would have seen an early save. They don't have retake utility here. They don't have the kits. So the fact that they get the 5v4 is going to alleviate a ton of pressure into this round. They put their faith in that chain off, and it did deliver. But now with no mid presence, the B site is in fact under attack. Belchonok needs to put in some work, and he's doing exactly that. Dancing around, setting up Nota for the next door kill, and Demon is left in a 1v3. It was a 1v5 until he got to work, and he wants to get right back into the brawl. Ambitious, to say the least. And Kickert shows him the hubris that he might have been working with. Swinging outdoors there. You can't say he's lacking for confidence, Alan.
No, certainly after the performance they've had so far, I can't say I'm that surprised. This is a pretty hefty beatdown heading the way of NAVI Junior at the moment. PARIVISION have not put many feet wrong on this map, to be honest. You're going to make some mistakes over a whole map of Counter-Strike, but they were few and far between. It has been pretty phenomenal stuff from this mix of players. And what do we got? 4A again. Oh, Chinook's coming off B. I'm guessing because they just fended off a B round. They're quite confident it's heading elsewhere this time around. Very, very rare, Mike, you see the team with 7 map points being the one to make these risky decisions.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Certainly is.
I kind of like it. It's, if you follow kind of the logic that we're going to get 5-6 gun rounds out of this now, we only need to be right once, and we're going to win the map.
Yeah, I mean, the saying sometimes is playing to win, not to lose, right? Yeah. If you just settle into your default and NAVI Junior figure out how to exploit, well, you're taking the dynamic moves here. Now, they are misreading this particular round. Enough of a fake has been shown towards Catwalk that PARIVISION are very entranced, and at this point, Belchonok finds himself on the wrong side of those doors. So even with that trade kill from Kickert, you'd imagine this might turn into a save. They don't know about Jukes. I think they still don't know about Jukes. Travis might be in trouble here. And that is the final slamming of the door on this particular round. Notice kill just allows them to save more effectively. This one's definitely going the way of NAVI Junior.
Okay, well, as we said, it's quite a risky sort of decision. There was an A fake as well, somewhat from NAVI Junior, and that obviously, given the stack, would only incentivize them more. Might even be the thing that pulled their sole B player off the site proper. So, that one was a bit of a gift for NAVI Junior. See if PARIVISION continue making decisions like that. And yeah, still a bit of a mountain to climb, but at least, as we mentioned, they're not feeling quite as down in the dumps as they would have if they'd just come into this half and lost immediately.
A little bit of time being taken here to figure out how to put this one away. It's kind of the flip side of what we were talking about earlier on for Navi Junior. You want to build up a little bit of confidence so you didn't just get absolutely blown out on this map. And if you're PARIVISION, you're thinking, sweep the leg. Take them down here and now. Crush the youngsters. Don't let them gain confidence.
Certainly if I was coaching, PARIVISION at this moment, I'd be saying what we just said on the cast, that, yeah, sure, we made the wrong decision, but made the wrong call, but it wasn't necessarily a flawed idea. It happens. So let's keep playing how we have been playing. We're clearly the better team on this map. And look at the stack this time. 3 towards B. James is pretty nearby as well off catwalk. And this could be an absolute slaughter as they feed in. Look at that. No chance for NAVI Junior. That's how you stack a bomb site.
That is indeed. Bomb site stacked, locked on down. You pick right with the gamble, and Navi Junior cannot keep winning the shell game. So very strong initial showing there for PARIVISION. PARIVISION to go is to put 5 players in the same position and bully the one holding. They're going to be comfortable doing that again and again and again.
Yes, sir. Quick update, because we have 4 simultaneous games, Mike. There is a lot of Counter-Strike to be watched if you like your Challenger League. Bait are 1 map to the good. They just won Zero Tenacity's pick of Anubis, which I believe, yes, indeed, Zero Tenacity pick a lot of Anubis, so that is a big win. Rush B are 1 up against an Amiga, and no surprises, Spirit Academy continue their lower bracket onslaught. Kiyosuke just destroyed Fafbet on map 1. He is hungry.
Always does seem to be. Always does seem to be. Speaking of other young talent who have the whole scene in a tizzy. Smoke gets blocked and still blooms perfectly. That's got to be frustrating. Nice peek out from Symmetry. Just deletes Travis off the rip. So now they've got a lot of control. And there's no one on B. So they might actually have made a mistake here because they've dropped the bomb here on the A site. They have full control of the B, and instead, oh no, Navi. Talk about not being on the same page again. You gained everything you could possibly want, and yet the Palace players still followed through with the initial idea. Went out Palace, lost that C4, and now are you left scrabbling for scraps? Symmetry is wondering, I got the opening pick. What happened? How did it all go so wrong?
Yeah, this is certainly a round where it's going to be easy for us to dissect that. Is why the A players going before the players elsewhere on the map have really finished their objective.
Yeah. When you kill the cat player and the apps player has had no contact, how are you not saying just pause, wait?
Yeah. It's also
stop.
like, I somewhat understand the logic, but timing is the critical component here. You've got to let PARIVISION react. You can't just assume that, they're all running B immediately. It's going to take some time for them to process information. And wow, something else, of course, you mentioned earlier was it's sort of baffling sometimes watching NAVI Junior, because we sit here with the X-ray and we're like, well, they definitely know all these things, don't they? But do they? Is their communication a bit hectic and it's not getting back to the decision makers? That would be a very plausible explanation of some of these rounds that we have seen.
It feels that way, right? Obviously, it is something that you always want to be careful about critiquing too much, because we can see through walls in our view, and we have the mini-map with all 5 players on. But as casters, one of the things that we try and keep track of is who knows what, particularly for a T side where you're trying to suss out the stacks. It's when you see the players, how much information can you draw from it? And really great Counter-Strike players they have an almost omniscient level of, okay, I've seen 2 players here. What does that mean for where the rest might be? What does that mean for the look that's being shown against me? And Navi Jr. don't seem to have much of that right now, which is understandable. They're a young team. They're an inexperienced team. But it definitely limited them on Dust2, and we're hoping that it's not going to be a continued trend here. Seems like we are getting that early tech pause as well, which was also something that happened on Dust2. So hopefully whatever it is can be resolved rather quickly, and the rounds just ticked up.
Yes, sir. Hopefully we're not here too long. Let's just have a look at what actually happened in Spirit Academy and Favbet. Oh, it's Favbet's pick. That's unfortunate. 13-3 for Spirit Academy on their opponent's pick. And the Rush B game. Okay, so Rush B did actually win their map pick. The only team of the in the 4 games that won their map pick. Bit of an ominous sign at the moment.
An encouraging sign if you're going to be Navi Jr.
We're not the only ones. Yet.
We can get this back. Please. Still lots of time, of course, right? But it's just, the thing for me, Alan, is always you want to forget about the problems that were present on the previous map until the first round seems to be indicative of those exact same problems.
Yeah, I mean, pistol rounds can be more funky, so I'll give them the slimmest leeway. Certainly, if we see that into going into gun rounds, I'll be more concerned. As I mentioned previously as well, I think T-side should help mitigate some of their issues too. But yeah, certainly if we're having a conversation, which maybe we are now that their VRS ranking is so high, that Navi Junior should be in contention to win an event like this, then in that context, yes, they need to play cleaner Counter-Strike than they have. They're also facing a team that, based on what we know about them so far, are still learning a lot about themselves and are going to, by virtue of that, make quite a few mistakes. I mean, PARIVISION themselves would, if they were honest, surely admit that quite openly. So it's not like they're playing a team. I mean, they're not playing Vitality at the moment. They're not playing a team that's completely infallible.
No, certainly not. And a team that, like, when they were initially, the James signing came through and they were making this last run of moves, people were very excited about them, right? You're looking at James as the kind of player who, yeah, maybe his style fell off a little bit in CS2. Maybe there was some time that needed adjustment, but he was one of the most respected IGLs in the game, even if he was also at times a nightmare to watch and or play against. No one ever suggested that he didn't have it. He didn't have the brain for it. And it's certainly the skill as well on the AWP. We saw brilliant moments from James on that gun.
Yes.
And when he first joined this team, he was on an absolute tear of individual form. But it just does feel like things have gone very quiet for this PARIVISION team. And they've kind of gotten lost in the mess of Tier 2.
That's going to happen very easily in this day and age, especially in cases where you're no longer playing for partner teams that have guaranteed slots. That downswing can be brutal for some of these squads. Equally, the upswing or attempting the upswing as a new lineup is equally vicious and difficult. So yeah, it's been a bit of a rocky start. I do think though, Mike, that how many times have we seen, because we kind of had post kind of, let's say, Cloud9 Virtus Pro starting to fall apart maybe 2 years ago, we've seen a lot of different teams from this sort of region, haven't we? Trying to find good combinations of players. We had teams like the Aurora lineup when they were of this region before, where it looked like they're just on the cusp. We had 9 Pandas, we had BetBoom. So many, of course, previous PARIVISION lineups, Forza. It's been so many teams that frankly have been of quite a similar level, and none of them have really had the staying power. It's been a turbulent time for their scene, because if there's one thing we don't doubt, is that they have a lot of good pieces. That is beyond obvious.
There are those guys over in Spirit.
Yeah, but they're the exception. They prove the rule almost. They're the only ones that have done it. And they did it very differently to these other lineups, where they're already in the system. They're already under the same sort of leadership. They're already being groomed for their own positions. Making new teams is hard, man. And I think a lot of these teams of this region are learning that the hard way. A lot of the teams of this region that get to the top, Spirit, kind of Gambit into Cloud9, Virtus Pro, these teams had a set core for years before they went to the top level. Just building a team is hard. It's really hard. It's why we give a team like Game Legion so much plaudits for doing it again and again, despite not necessarily having the biggest names. Game Legion doesn't have as good players as some of these teams of this region, yet they make it work.
Yet they do. Yet they do. But, it seems that we can't make it work right now in the server.
No.
So we're going to take a quick break, assuming that that's a thing that we can do, and be right back whenever this problem is resolved. Thank you for bearing with us there, folks. We are back in and ready to actually play Mirage, it seems. Hopefully nobody got too cooled off in the server after that extended break, but the issues had been resolved. And we do still have that op for James, the exciting point here for PARIVISION. But they've gone for the hefty investment. The AKs are out for NAVI Jr. But can they do something with them? That's the big question. They've taken mid control. It's mostly been afforded to them. Instead, playing the crossfire here are PARIVISION with a player on cat and 2 close to con. Interesting that James already starting to readjust with that AWP. They know there's this heavy mid control, so how does James want to approach it? Getting ready to reinforce B. They think they know what's coming based on the smokes that they've seen, but NAVI Jr., to my eyes, Alan, don't really look like they've committed to any one idea.
Oof, that is unfortunate. I get the idea. Just a little bit too eager to find the information. And despite a very passive stance, NAVI Jr. are handed a really tremendous position.
I actually think Demon tried to do a little bit of a fake towards B, but I think that actually tipped them the other way, right? Because it was so lackluster, one Molotov and then not much thrown. You could see they brought the op back over to defend A. Everyone's swarming. PARIVISION are ready for this, and James is going to connect that first shot. It's disjointed as well. NAVI Jr. are not flooding the site. The first player just kind of poked out. Krabeni's going to need to do some serious work. It's not coming towards him, but the MP9's not the fight for that range. So still, there may just not be enough bodies to deal with this fight in the smoke. Demon collects, and it is Jane with that 1 AWP and a 1v3. Well, if they give him the shots, he'll take them. With the health being what it is, how many more looks is he going to want to give to it? Symmetry made a move. James thought it might have been to flank him out, but instead it's just to get better post-plant scenarios here. Without the kit, this is starting to look like it's going to be around for NAVI Jr.
And perhaps one that shouldn't have been. You were right. They walk straight into a stack site. And their numbers coming out of Palace have had a lot of util towards jungle. I thought they were just going to get mowed down. I'm a little bit stunned they've actually come out of this with a round win, because that looks absolutely dire as they try to get them onto the site. So, a clumsy round, let's call it, maybe for both teams. NAVI Jr. Thanks, I guess, predominantly to the individuals getting over the line.
And considering the fact that they got a gift with Kickert's aggression in apartments at the beginning of that maneuver, I just... Clumsy is a good word for it, right? Because they got mid control. They were given mid control. They take all that space. They have the smokes down. Oh, no. And we've had a DC. Oh, boy. And it's James as well. So certainly going to need a medic, as he did have that save gun through.
Well, they'll be in the territory soon of what we'll describe as escalating consequences if they keep tech pausing. Is James just rejoined? Or is that just
unclear?
HUD?
I think that is just the HUD for the moment. We have to reset the full round. There we go. Okay. So quick round reset there. On top of it this time around. Hopefully, that means there will be no further issues.
We just want to see some Counter-Strike.
That is what we want. There's certainly still going to be a ton of danger in this round, right? They go towards the FAMASs to get a little bit more utility out there with the limitations in the weaponry, but with that op still for James, you don't want to take anything for granted. That is a nice shot out, but not connected. It's Krabeni instead to find the first kill. And it's starting to look very good for NAVI Jr. Nota making some issues for them here on the stairs, but he is swept away. Makaze late through that mid-smoke. Up through connector. Now with the bomb ticking away, it's going to be a back off for PARIVISION. They want nothing to do with this.
Can't blame them. Their intent there was to fight mid. You can see, just look where the players died. That was James towards window. You had 2 players around stairs. They really wanted to contest mid, and they weren't ready for NAVI Jr. to split A so quickly. So, change of pace from NAVI Junior, certainly very different to what we saw on map 1. And pay some dividends. The economy, surely, for PARIVISION, is not in a good spot. It's a shame as well they haven't been able to save 2 good guns. That AWP is unretrievable. And we certainly do expect an eco to follow, so...
Yeah.
Maybe for the first time in this series, frankly, NAVI Junior starting to feel a little bit comfortable.
No world where we'd expect them to force around this. And they indeed will not. Spreading the wealth on some of their utility, but that should be just about the only investment into this. They picked up the pace in that last round for NAVI Junior, right? And that did lead to some very nice results. It was a quick one. We saw the quick idea in the previous. This seems like it's going to be a straightforward round as well. They're setting up for an exec. There is no second element here. There's no top mid player. There's no B lurk. So this is going to be a hit and go. And where is Noda with the Zeus? Not in the right spot to use it on the A attack.
Well,
Belchnok burning. Execute on. Here we go. What can Belchnok get? He can get one. My goodness. Blinded up. Still managed to disconnect a headshot. And so there will at least be some casualties in this round. Already not the worst result. And Travis playing the lines here on the spam from Ticket. Denies that initial bomb plant. And now you start to get nervous for NAVI Junior rather.
I'm watching the flank, man.
Here.
That could develop very quickly. Look at this. Palace for Nota.
It's just USP, but USP in the right spot with the back turned. And suddenly we can talk. And they're making footsteps. This is very intentional. It will cost them kicker, but the idea is to distract from this Palace flank. And with Travis finding that extra kill, now there's just not enough eyes. And Noda has in fact struck.
Wow.
And just like that, it's all torn apart. A P250, a USP in the right place can make all the difference. And NAVI Junior, again, the problems in the post plant. Chaos does not become them. And PARIVISION are able to steal a round they had no business being in.
The wind is completely snatched from their sails. It's I can't believe Belchnok gets a kill there in the first place, but to get harangued and surrounded, and again they just, I don't know, they feel so. My experience, Mike, says their communication gets really flustered. If I had to guess what's going on in this series, NAVI Junior, which does happen with young players, in these chaotic moments, it really looks like nobody's making decisions. The decisions that are being made are incredibly individual. Someone needs to take control here, because we've seen it too many times now on map 1 and map 2. That should have been their ticket into a good T side, and now it's them that has no cash and could easily be down 4 or 5 rounds if they lose this one without a plant.
Noda connects on the first. There's 2 players advancing their way up the apartments, but they'll find James if they keep going. Bomb's linking up with them, so this seems to be the idea. That killing towards mid should make life a lot easier. But the op does find its pound of flesh, and Travis can follow it up as one hops out the window and Demon delivers the bomb on over. So disjointed again. No utility to push these players off their angle, just giving them isolated fights, and isolated they will fall. PARIVISION double up on their opponent's rounds.
Yeah, that was a tougher one. I'll give them a bit of slack. Jane playing a more unorthodox position. It was double catwalk for PARIVISION, so even though NAVI Junior killed one, maybe they weren't expecting a second, but whichever way you slice it, it's PARIVISION that's making their opponents uncomfortable, as it has been all series. Very rare we're sat here saying NAVI Junior just made a great move and now PARIVISION are out of sorts. I don't think we said that really at all so far today. Maybe outside of the one round where PARIVISION had a bad stat call right at the end of map 1, but outside of that, there's been a lot of moves in their favour. We're at the point, aren't we, where this series starts to get scary. They're a map down. They're going to be 5-2 down before long. Money, assuming players stay alive here, will be great for PARIVISION. And indeed it will. This is rough stuff. NAVI Jr. needs some pauses because this map could tumble if they don't put the brakes on it right now.
Seems likely. Seems likely. Fortunately for them, Travis does not have infinite bullets in his AK, so at least they can do some damage. Little spray control. Nice damage out. Had a teammate to lock it down. You got the AKs up?
Yeah.
What are you going to show us for it? The instant window smoke comes out, then a con smoke to follow it, presumably. No, top mid, sorry.
You know, it's been a series where NAVI Jr. clearly haven't got their teeth into it yet, but if we're painting a picture where they're playing their best Counter-Strike, is it Makazi and Krabeni? Are those the players we're looking at and saying you need to be factors in this series?
It's a nice clear out from Belchanok. It was a bit of a risk. Certainly could have given up his own life, but Jugs is having a rough one. And Belchanok will keep up that bullying.
We need a hero on NAVI Jr. If they're not going to play as a team, I need a star player to start opening up bomb sites.
I think the hero in this round might be Belchanok finding the timing on this push. They've just gone right past him. They're not going to have any awareness.
Oh, Lord.
As soon as utility comes out, he's going to key back in on this. And there it is. There's the comms. You'd imagine Belchanok's still going to mid. Now he's got the read. Now James has called on over and said, hey, yeah, maybe come back. It might be too little too late. Let's see. Krabeni with that follow-up kill. They're still not looking his way, but somebody's got to turn. There it is. Belchanok finds 2 kills, stacks them up, sets up his teammates, and now it's all on the Demon in a 1v2. But the first will be dispatched of quickly. Travis tried to reposition, and it was punished. Now comes to Kicker. Captain of the squad's got to do it with his gun, and he will be more than capable of that fact. Defuse on this round goes to Belchanok.
It might look a bit silly, Demon just staying default there, but it is highly unusual for Travis to be fighting so hard for Kicker with Kicker nowhere near. He was thinking that Kicker's already out, jungle, stairs. You know, he's about to swing me CT. That's why he doesn't move. But doesn't change the result. I thought that was going to end well, actually, for NAVI Jr. Because basically, with the Palace push, Belchanok is saying, I really don't think it's A. So actually, it was somewhat fool's gold, wasn't it, for a moment for PARIVISION, where James is looking up connector. They're thinking it's about to be a B split or something. So even then, even when the fortune gives a very brief window to NAVI Jr., they can't convert the round. They can't win rounds where they have an advantage. They can't win rounds where they have, you know, fortunate moments. What are they going to win? What's left?
Not a lot. If I had to venture a guess, we're getting a hero rifle here. AK picked up, Tech 9's around it. I mean, they've had some success in the faster, more straightforward rounds, just hitting a site. That's not what they're going to do here. Lots of smokes. Full exec thrown by, I think, just Krabeni. In towards middle, but it's gonna be called out, or at least sniffed out. There's not a lot behind it. They're trying to go up underpass instead, and PARIVISION have vacated middle. So they'll give this exec some respect, but Note up popping the smoke, sees nothing behind it, and so he's starting to wonder what the deal might actually be. That's an interesting smoke to deploy, knowing that they might have bottom mid.
Super passive stance from PARIVISION. They just, I guess they're quite confident they know what the buy looks like. But you would never do this on a gun round. Ceding a lot of room. But I guess in this sort of circumstance, if you hold your own, it should be A-OK. And to give Belchanok credit, he has had a lot of good rounds playing in and around Palace and around that balcony position. Chimes in again with a nice free piece. Might have just been the pistols, but he was under some pressure. And No sweat off his brow. Very clean.
I wanted to get back to the conversation around coordination, right? And communication, because you have a hero rifle. The idea is that it's part of the duo coming out ramp while the 3 Tech 9 swing out connector. Sure. But why is the rifle... I understand not sending the rifle in first. But by the time Demon's actually getting to shoot at targets, all of his teammates are dead. You'd really like those two things to sync up a little bit more so that the pistols can distract while he is shooting at targets.
He's either number 2 or maybe number 3 if you're very, very well grouped, or probably actually better is he's Palace. And the pistols go in, pull all the attention, cause some carnage, and he swings and gets some easy pickings at range. We didn't necessarily see either of those things play out clearly. I don't know, man. It's been a rough day in the office, and
yes,
we sort of here in the Challenger League we have an expectation that the groups, they're all well and good, but playoffs is when this event, at least in terms of the stakes, becomes obvious. It's when it really starts, and well, goes without saying that only one of these teams has arrived in playoff form right now, and it is absolutely not NAVI Junior.
I do want to give our credit over to PARIVISION. They seem to have a very good feel for the way NAVI Junior play. And so a lot of what they're doing is they might go for one aggressive move just at the beginning. Just at the beginning, we've seen Belchanok do that. We've seen Kicker do that, just to take some space on one of these periphery positions on Mirage. But for the most part, they're ready to let the round develop. xTRAVIS, that's exactly what I'm talking about, illustrating my point nicely. They let the move initially come through from NAVI Junior, and they're very quick to react and punish. Complete dismantling of the connector setup. That was the bomb. These players coming out ramp, coming out Palace, they just don't matter. They don't matter if the main thrust of the bomb gets stuffed like this.
It's getting a bit depressing. They were quite trigger happy with pausing as well on map 1. I'm surprised Navi's... I mean, they're already in a position where it's damage limitation on this T side. I mean, the money's not great. They might even have to... a lot of teams, on an even scoreline, they probably would half by this round, but they feel like they have to force. Here's the pause, first of the half, and the game is already in massive jeopardy. I don't think that's good enough, Mike. I think this conversation needed to happen at 4-2, not 8-2.
How do you mix things up, though? Where do they go with it? We've seen the set.
They haven't had a good buy for like 5 rounds, have they? That would help.
That would definitely help. It does feel like they consistently want this mid control, and PARIVISION are consistently willing to give it to them. And then as soon as they try and get out of mid, PARIVISION just slap them on their wrist.
They've been... I know they've killed the lurker or been in a decent spot a couple times, but they have been really harangued by extremity players pushing for PARIVISION, players pushing apartments, of course, with the Belchanok round in towards Palace. They've struggled to keep tabs on the movement of this CT side. The best round of this T side was when NAVI Junior split A fast, and maybe that's where this call has come from. Change the pace. Don't let your opponents play the mid round. It's a nice idea. I see the logic, but they've just been shredded.
It's again this heavy presence coming through con, players working their way out ramp. They've got a post plant, at least. They've got the bomb down. Now, if Jukes can shoot somebody, there might be a chance. Symmetry is pushed back in towards the firebox. Jukes looking to fight in towards Ticket, but they haven't actually gained any ground here, and they have no more utility, so these flashbangs are lethal. Both players stare straight into them. But a double spray down. Here we go. Judes finding the moment. Time to step up. Time to be a hero. Not in time. Time enough for the defuse. Just a few more seconds required and it would have happened. Judes at least finding some action here. But it is still going to be PARIVISION with the round.
Would it be rude to say that actually felt like their best chance in ages, given it was a 2v4 and quite some pretty tremendous timing from Jukes?
I mean, just getting the bomb down is the best result in ages, isn't it?
It's honestly been a brutal series so far for NAVI Junior. They had a couple nice rounds in that second half of Dust 2, but outside of that, PARIVISION are just in a different league right now. They're making so many good decisions. James, I mean, he's quite quiet on the first map. I don't think he's playing badly, but this map, he's just been more in the center of the action. He has been ever mobile on the CT side. The reads have been great. It's been a nightmare for NAVI Junior to play against, and frankly, as we've seen, they are struggling so much to find answers. Nota also has played a brilliant game from Connector. He's been fantastic during this CT side. Travis too. It's the whole mid combination. All three of them. They're really causing so many problems.
It did seem to be the game plan for NAVI Junior, right? Was to contest for mid, and it's not gone. It's not gone well at all.
Look at the info play as well. About to clear mid. They get this done real soon. They're going to have numbers A as well before this hit actually fully transpires.
Seems like a waterfall out of apartments, though. And with Travis going on this quest in towards T-spawn, things could get interesting. Belchnog's got to find some sort of stall, but provided that he does, that will be tough. Okay, here we go. Makazi 2 kills. This is the best result yet of the half. Travis on the flank, but there's enough bodies. No, he's got the transfer. They were looking his way, and it doesn't matter. Travis, you can't do this to them here. They finally got their hands on a post plant, an even number situation, and Travis rips the advantage away from them. Team in Symmetry, you cannot let this slip away. Utility coming in to clear Firebox. Symmetry gone by the op. It falls to one man, and one man on 5 HP may not be enough. They're looking his way. James finds the last, and there will be nothing for NAVI Junior here. We are back alive and into the fun here with PARIVISION versus NAVI Jr. And I don't think NAVI Jr. are having a lot of fun with this one. They have been utterly dismantled. And in that final round, oh no, it was a 5v2. It was a 5v2, Alan. How did it get away from
I don't
them?
want to talk about it. It was just painful. It was truly the epitome, going to encapsulate the entire half in 4 seconds. And now they've got an impossible task. They can only lose 2 rounds on their way to overtime at best. Well, I guess they could win the map 11-1, but that's not going to happen. How on earth do you even wrap your head around the scale of this comeback? How do you come back from the last round of that first half? How do you keep your heads in this game that already feels done?
You take your brain out, you blow on it like an old Nintendo cartridge, you plug it back in. That's about the only way at this point. Kicker, though, will not be allowing them to clear the dust from their minds. It is merciless, and this pistol round might as well be the map. So you're going to have to try this
well as those old Nintendo cartridges at the moment.
Sometimes if you kick the Nintendo too much, the whole thing would turn off. And that feels like NAVI Jr. right now. They have been kicked. They have been battered. They have been bashed the whole way through. And now they will not have a chance to rebuild in. They're going to have to get this done with a force buy.
We still have a Nintendo 64 kicking around.
Do you? Does it still work?
Yep. And it's in Cyprus.
That dry Cypriot sea air, I guess.
My granddad came over, I think it was for the early 90s, and he decided these things are so great, they're going to buy 2. One for the UK and one for Cyprus.
Shout outs to your granddad. Great call.
It is.
He could not have foreseen the unintended knock-on consequences that now you would be sitting here watching NAVI Jr. get destroyed by PARIVISION.
No, he didn't know what he was creating.
Butterfly effect right there. This level of difficulty for NAVI Jr. it might as well be the Superman game from the N64 that absolutely no one could beat. Makaze gets the first, the Deagle. Might be what lights the way. James is low as well. It's going to be a B hit. They've got the numbers in place, but Symmetry has just been absolutely deleted. Deagle, though, continues to be the backstop here. Can't find him under the window. How has he found such impact? Demon can't do the same. And Belchinok, with the impact that he's had himself, might just be enough even with James alone.
I don't think they'll expect Krabeni here. I really don't think they're going to expect him.
Let's see if Krabeni can give them a little bit of a pinch. Belchinok dropping that bomb. James, the one who's going to plant it. Since he's low, Krabeni just needs to poke out once. There's the swing around. Now they know. Now they know. And Belchinok makes short work of him. 13 seconds. Don't swing. But the fight is still won. Chugs took a risk. Didn't want to play the timer there. But somehow, some way, NAVI Jr. have limped through.
That was carnage. Oh, yeah. It really actually all hinges on that catwalk fight at the start because NAVI Jr. were leaning A and mid. Had PARIVISION got any catwalk control, they would have easily split that B bomb site, and we'd probably have NAVI in the lower bracket by now. Instead, a good duel there earns a stay of execution. Still, though, they're being asked to dictate what their last meal will be. They're not out of the woods yet.
No, certainly not. Right now, they're hoping that last meal will not be P250 bullets from James.
That'd be a bad way to go. Okay.
PARIVISION will be quite cranky that they didn't actually get to plant the bomb in that last round. Because if they did, we probably have something approaching a force buy here. Instead, we have Glocks. But I saw Monacy. He did this not too long ago with just Glocks. And he did it to Mouse. So anything is possible. But I wouldn't say it's likely. Mid control has been conceded. Krapetti could get a rude surprise if he wants to peek out over this window. Ooh, do they see him?
He's actually got to hold.
No.
Yeah, I can say he's got to hold
no.
a connector and window. That's an M4.
This is how it starts.
I don't think I could bear it, Mike, if they lose this round. They just need to stay calm. They've got such a weaponry advantage.
James here, though. James here, they've just swung. He's trying to, he's daring the ladder player to go forward. Doesn't. James swings, and instead it will be fine. Okay, no problem. Krapetti, the only casualty here. It's not disaster, Alan.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay, well, first gun round of this second half, this proper gun round of the second half, is about to get going. Decent util for this T side, so can certainly run pretty much whatever they want. I think they're going to go quick here. They're ready to go. Straight out.
Lost the first. And look at this group. Look at this mass. They're all in the same position, so one smoke serves to deal with most of them. Jukes did find his damage, though. Give him credit over there. Had a really rough start to this game and has fueled a lot of these remaining rounds. PARIVISION, look at Belchanok.
Yeah, I was going to say,
is
he kind of thinking about the after plant long before the plant, or is he actually making the greatest move? This could get very interesting. Notice also stuck firebox. Probably should have just waited, I think.
Yeah, if he bought those extra couple of seconds, even if he didn't get a kill, they're still going to get this bomb down. I don't think Navi Jr. can deny that. And that deep smoke, if they respect it, is a very tough hold in the retake.
Absolutely. They might do better off to get aggressive.
Is to time these up so that players go together. That's been the biggest issue. Do not allow the isolated fights, or, okay, just win them. Chinook finds one. Yeah, somehow gets past that open window. Someone needs to get stuck on that bomb, and at this point, Belchanok has no interest, doesn't have the health, doesn't have the sustained fight. You got to get away.
Quite an interesting game so far. It was Jukes there, wasn't it? They did so much work on the players coming out of ramp. Yeah, he could have shuts down the round before it ever really gets going. Risky business swinging short like that, but Zenobian Palace to punish. They'll be quite close enough for a trade kill on ramp either. That'll mean a half buy in this round for PARIVISION. They're looking towards the round after this for a full investment. They still have some smokes. Got that saved AK on Belchanok. Where's that? That is top mid right now, being boosted to look at connector. Now he makes his move. Oh, that is a big kill.
It was indeed, and now the dominoes start to fall. Trouble on for Navi Jr. They can't afford to let this situation get away from them, and it already has. The spot from Jugs, though. Jugs might just catch the bomb. Oh, he gets a kill, but not the player with that C4. And this is weird. James out. James waiting on his teammates to try and create some space for him, but they're aware. Demon knows that James is here. So he is desperate not to give up his own ground. James going forward. What the hell was that from James? And it's worked. They don't realize Krabeni's grained the ground, and then Krabeni gets a trick of his own past James, and that one is magnificent.
What a bizarre bout.
I can't believe James goes through the smoke with a Tech 9 out. And I equally can't believe that he's laughing to himself. He's thinking, I just got one over on these guys. And then Crabetti's got some tricks of his own.
I'm almost stunned that the bomb ever made it to be. I thought the A push was going to catch it. Crikey. That round had everything. Third timeout for PARIVISION. They're still in a fantastic position. But, you know, apply the brakes. Let's have a conversation. What's going right? What's going wrong? We've got an AWP drop from Beltronic onto Jame. That means he has no util. So clearly, they really want Jame to have this AWP. Got a decent A spawn, actually. Could think of making use of that. Looks like the direction. So what does PARIVISION change? They're still clearly the better team in this series. Their players are in great form. They don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But just a few small tweaks might help them a little bit here.
The one real silver lining here for NAVI Jr. is that they have done this little mini comeback with very little to no impact from their offer. Symmetry, if he comes online, could really tilt the scales and make this comeback a distinct possibility. Wow. Right now, it's Crabeni. Crabeni is taking command. Locked down that last round, goes forward in this one, gets them an opener at top mid, shuts this presence down. And suddenly, we've got a live one here for NAVI Jr.
Yeah, it's the hardest kind of first player to lose as well because PARIVISION can't react. They're so late to come into mid now that they can't use any information. It's actually NAVI Jr. who make the next push, the next press to keep their opponents on their toes. So this is a great round from NAVI Jr. Probably one of the better ones we've seen in this series en masse. I don't think saving's an option. So group and just try and at least get a bomb plant. I guess that's the MO here for PARIVISION. No, they're really going to save? Surely not.
You forget who's on this team.
I know, but it's T-side. Their money's going to be completely out of balance.
Who's on this team?
They have no nades, Mike. They can't buy any more in the next round.
Yeah,
this is not a good save.
No damn Belchinock can buy nades. This is maybe PARIVISION. But there's still a V and a P in their team name. That's all I'm saying. They defined a style of Counter-Strike. They're not going to change their stripes right now.
I guess so. Honestly, that kill from Kicker to allow him to buy a smoke is massive.
That helps.
Still, they got to make massive use of the util they do have.
It's enough for an exec. 2 full kits as well, or 2 full sets rather. Scrounge from among the players. They've got something to work with here. Can't futz about though. So mid smoke goes in. A Molotov that's answered with a smoke of its own. Not ideal. They wanted to take this mid control, and that does mean they've had to expend a fair chunk of utility to do so. The team gets aggressive with this. That Molotov doesn't go as deep as he thinks it does. That's a problem. Demon didn't expect Kicker to be up on the counter. He'd seen that Molotov before. He knew what it looked like. And now not only do they get an extra nade off of Demon's body, but they get the opening pick of this round.
I think Navi are very fortunate. PARIVISION didn't instantly commit. It was only Symmetry on B. I think Makaze... Okay, he is in ladder, so he can rotate. And Crabeni's taking a lot of space out from A. We've seen a lot of A pushes this half so far, and this is a must-win duel from Crabeni. Finds his man. Can he get out of dodge? Even better.
Wow.
He's had a monster CT side. Monstrous.
Talk about putting the team on your back as well, because if he fell there, even in the trade, his team's scrambling. That whole side of the map is now open. As it is, they're still putting a lot of risk on this. They are still heavily leaning in towards B, and that's the gravity that Kicker's managed to bring in towards Palace. So, well, the bomb's through market. Jukes checks it.
I can't believe he's checked that. Like, really can't believe it.
They knew it was open. Talk about
they're not
looking
going
a
to
little better.
save
Now,
again, are they?
Yes. Absolutely. Although only one of them will be allowed to, but Travis has the AWP. And when there's an AWP available, Travis will be saving. It's actually interesting to think. So what if you could draw one of two conclusions from what Jukes just did in terms of checking? Either they've gotten a lot calmer in the communication, and so they're voicing where the holes potentially are. Whoever, you know, the mid player is calling, could have been a hole in towards window, could be a player there, which is the most likely. Or the communication's been so chaotic that he just doesn't trust that there's not a player.
And they've gone full circle.
We will say the charitable one.
Probably, but it's quite an amusing notion that because they have no idea what's going on, because communication is so bad, everybody's checking everything. That's a nice idea. But no, probably more likely than not that that was good communication, not bad.
We'll go with good. Huge credit on to Jukes individually as well. Started this map like 0-7, 0-8, maybe even
more than that. I think it was 0-9.
Yeah.
It might have actually been 10, you know, because he got a 2K, and I think he was 2-11 if he died. Not a good start.
You're right. But suffice it to say, 13-13 right now. If you consider the first half, second half split, it's dramatic. Fast play attempted here towards B. They need the kills, though. Demon will have those. And then some. Krabeni locking this down. It's not happening here. Jane trying to play the post, and now he is the pre and the post and the everything. And only one kill will not tilt the scales here as NAVI continue to build back into this. We have to start asking some serious questions of PARIVISION.
Absolutely.
They got a 10-2 half. They won the pistol.
The money also is so good for NAVI Jr. that overtime's a pretty likely scenario at the rate we're going. It's been pretty hard work for PARIVISION to win 2 rounds. 2 full gun rounds. I need to find an opening. So many opening kills.
At least they finally have something.
They need to avoid Krabeni, man. Stop going towards him.
Very true. At least they finally have something that actually resembles a full buy. They'll test Jukes instead. Jukes committed here by triple. Spam is good. Spam is good. They know their lines. And Jukes, yeah, he goes 1 for 1, but that's a man advantage established. And you've got Krabeni going fast towards that flank. Maybe not quite fast enough. Here's the adjustment for the retake. Kicker is so low. And Krabeni here's Cricket. Yeah, you're not getting into mid, buddy. Yeah, that's not happening. Krabeni may be dead in this duel, is indeed. So that was the critical thing to potentially bring this round through, but there's so much more work to do. Belchinot.
They might not expect James stairs. It's a really odd position right now to be in.
It's being held. It's being held, but he looks away. James, patient on the peak as always. Leaves it to Symmetry, who just doesn't have the time. Even if he got this kill, it was not happening. That is a James classic.
I don't understand how he got there. I really don't. Obviously, we were so focused on the flank. Maybe we'll see it in the replays. No, he's always stairs. I thought he was Tetris the whole round. Wow. That is an individual moment when they needed one, wasn't it, from James? Tucks himself in, stays hidden for a lot of that afterplant. If he caught me off guard when we have X-Ray, no doubt he did the same to NAVI Jr. They mounted a hell of a comeback. They're clearly playing much more confident, decisive, aggressive Counter-Strike. The NAVI Jr. squad. Just need a little bit more, man. 3 rounds. I mean, I think the buy here isn't good for PARIVISION. Win this. Win round 24. It can still be done.
It can be. But again, there's a team that's used to playing in the margins.
No!
May not be in the same colors, but they still know what they're doing. It's an op. Symmetry doesn't want to peek. Now he's here. Belchinok. That was ambitious. Leaves it into the clutch, but a clutch might just be on the table. Noda, if the bomb was down, this would be a lot more viable. but he doesn't trust that they're actually both contained by this smoke. And so might just have missed his chance to plant.
That bomb is in a
40
nightmare
seconds.
spot, isn't it? It's right out in front of the window.
Probably going to play for the kills instead of the plant. Might have cost him.
He might do well to run over. If he can get some util off his teammates, that'd make his job a hell of a lot easier. He really needs a smoke. A molly wouldn't be bad, but I'm not sure this flashbang is going to be enough to allow him to plant. Surely these guys, they've got 2 mollies as well. Surely they just fight together on the tap.
They're going to go through the window. So you realize they've gotten out. Sweeping this. Repositioning. Nota getting past the first. That spam. Panicked. Oh, 1 HP! The nade is perfect. Didn't actually think they'd seen him on that spam, but I guess they must have. They knew exactly where he had to be. Might have been process of elimination, but the round is the round is the round. And it was a round that NAVI desperately needed.
Ooh, this is getting spicy now. Couple big kills for Cemetery, and as we've said, he's not had his best series. Far from it.
Whisper quiet for far too long for being an AWPer, for being someone that we're looking at as that next talent.
That said, if he can get them to overtime, that would be a big weight off his shoulders. All right, 2 to go. It's another borderline force buy from PARIVISION. Another round where we're lacking util, so they've got to just make a decision and go. And look at them. The decision is obvious. There's nobody really on B because of this aggressive push from xTRAVIS. What an awkward round. There's so much going on, yet NAVI Jr. seemingly are winning every duel on the site proper.
I actually can't believe they've done this. I can't believe we've gotten to this point. This is going to be a save from James. Is he really going to attempt this? I mean, I guess it's a minute 20 of a save. The odds that he got hunted down were just way too high. And somehow he's found the gap. Somehow he's found a bomb plant here. There's a player ramp, though. James has the right idea. Dodges the nade. Knows where it's coming from. Knows where he's got the safe plant as well. James will actually secure this money for the team. Molotov spreads, but doesn't kill. James will stay in his spot. They cannot allow him to do this. And so they will not. That would have been too much to ask, but James somehow slips the gap to find that bomb plant. And we're coming into this final round. There's money here for PARIVISION as a result of that plant. They can get a real proper buy going here. But it was a 10-2 half. They won the pistol, Alan.
It's been
this should have been done.
Yeah, I mean, also look at Makaze, xTRAVIS, and Jukes there. They've all played themselves right back into this map, despite clearly given the scoreline. It must have been well down on frags coming into the start of the second half. Completely different circumstances, very different looking team. Of course, it was CT side Dust2, where NAVI Jr. really struggled to look on the same page. And they just are playing with so much more nous, so much more grit, so much more prepared to, make a decision as a team and follow through with it, which we haven't been able to say for a lot of this series. 1 to go to pull off the impossible.
But wouldn't it just be the most quintessentially Jane thing to give them hope and then snatch it away?
There's only 1B. There's been a lot of rounds in this half where NAVI Jr. have lent away from B and actually not been punished. They've held on, Anchor here doing great work, quick flank. There's been a lot of rounds where B has been exposed and PARIVISION haven't hit the killer blow, but this time I think they're in a good spot. Demon falls to backside. 2 fast kills for these CT players, and they still haven't rooted out Demon. There he goes. 2v2 to decide this map.
The difference is, look at the positioning for Nota. They're not expecting this. xTRAVIS gets caught. Nearly a fumble on the spray, but Nota makes good on it. It falls to Jukes. The man who was so quiet cannot find his voice at the right moment. 13-11. Somehow that's going to sting all the worse for NAVI Jr. They brought it to the precipice of the comeback, but they could not push PARIVISION into OT, and so the 2-0 comes through.